Shalom, shalom, people. This your brother Anai Yaakov. Um, there's this strong feeling within me right now, and I want to say something, and I pray to the Most High that what I say is clear to you. Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? Adam was formed in the image of the Most High. And so, is the image what you see? Or is the image of the Most High what you can't see? What is the thing the eyes cannot see? What is the thing that the ears cannot hear? What is it that the nose the does not smell? You understand what I'm saying? And the tongue does not taste. And what is that? And so when we think about the Most High, what is He? What is it that we're all aiming or ought to be aiming for? What is the evolution of the inward man? All of the answers to these questions boils down to one thing. The Most High is not artificial, not a simulation, but He is the perfect intelligence back of the entire universe, solar system, universe, whatever. He is the one back of anything that ever there was or is and ever shall be. He is the intelligence back of it all. Perfect in every decisive thing. My thoughts shall go out and go forth and do that which I have commanded to do, and they will not leave from me void. And they will return full of the very thing in which I commanded it to do, having done it and completed it. And so shall man be one of those thoughts that come forth from perfect intelligence and not in some way, in some shape, form, or fashion achieve that intelligence. You see, the greatest thing that is nearer to man's intelligence is the activity in his own or her own life. The activity within their being. Their very life in it of itself. This dictates the intellect. All of the experiences that you all experience, this grows or decreases the intellect, right? And so when you do a thing that's unintelligible, or if you will, when you do a thing that's of a bestial nature, right? This bestial activity feeds the intellect. But when you do the things of the Most High, we all become something so intellectual. Well, we're not artificial, yet we are a similitude, if you will, of the perfect intelligence. And every similitude is unique. of the perfect intelligence that is the Most High. You cannot be mosted if you have imperfections. And so what has man done with his intellect, if you will, in the earth? For a carnal man is a type of intellect. And that intellect feeds off of carnal deeds, carnal life, carnal living. And so he becomes carnally the company he keeps. But if man keeps company with the Most High, this ghostly Father, if you will, only perceivable through intellect, if you will, when he perceives a higher intellect operating, working, and moving in him and all abroad, for there is intelligence in everything. And that means that the Father, therefore, is in everything. And then not only is that intelligence in everything, but we are the similitude of that intelligence, like unto the whole universe within ourselves. And so man cannot establish the constellations of wisdom within himself. The constellations of peace and of joy and of power, of truth. Man cannot establish these very things so that he may counsel and reason aright within himself. You see, we receive thoughts. I'm going to tell you like this, and this is a common way to look at it. Everything that you see, we like to see these things as external from ourselves and not the very things that are within us as well as without us. But we see these things external from ourselves. And that's a trap unto man. You see, because they're both within and without. Now, a deception unto man is that he believes his thoughts are his own. And because he has not distinguished them aright, he sees every thought as his own. He perceives that thought is his own, in fact, even though he thinks it within himself. And so man believes his thinking is who he is, right? If you will, or his thinking, every thought that comes through him is who he is. How about that? That's better. Man thinks that every thought that comes through him or that he hears within himself, he thinks every one of those thoughts are his. When that thought within man, that thinking within man, when the mind is structured right, then that thought becomes the very word of the Most High by way of the reason within you, the conductivity, the intelligence within you becomes the very Most High speaking to you itself. And so he begins to use the faculties of your soul in order to get you to see everything that you ought to see. And so he turns to Moses and he says, "Who made your tongue? Didn't I?" Because he knew he had a hold of faculties within Moses, that Moses did not understand. You see, wisdom, knowledge, and intelligence, all of these things that make up the spiritual kingdom, these very things are attributes of the Most High that are not our own, that we partake of in thought. And so man comes to find out that his spiritual food is the Most High himself. And he begins to look at the workings of the Most High so that he may perceive the very essence and the thought thereof, the intent thereof. And so when Christ says, "Eat of my flesh, drink of my blood," right? He says, "Do the like me. Be as I was." These things will feed your intellect in such a way that the new creature you become is the intelligence itself. And so animals can't perceive the intelligence that you are, if you will. At least not in this world. But intellect is something man was meant to be the master thereof. In the farmer out of that, of all manners of wisdoms and things created all over the earth. Forming things on very intricate levels. Because he works from the spirit within himself. And so, man goes to thinking about the wisdom of the Most High. The understanding, the truth, the knowledge, the faithfulness, the perfection that he displays. And begins to form within himself an image of that perfection. That is the Most High. And so, no image of that perfection that is the Most High is in error. Every image is correct. Every image is right. Because he is infinite in the way that he looks. And so, every image of intellect, every formed type of intellect that feeds off of who he is will never concoct or be deceived or be formed into an incorrect form or a dismembered form or a slow form, if you will. For there is no deception of the intellect. When the intellect is rightly formed with the attributes of the Most High, rightly wearing their suit and armor, they can go and dive into any type of intellectual study and not be deceived, knowing for the fact that they are the form of the intellect within them. And so the things that could deceive someone who has no barriers, no blocks of things that they know what temperance is. And so when they read something that does not have temperance in it, they can understand it is in error, in thought, in process. Because they need to form temperance. If they but had temperance here, it would be so much a better idea. So much a wonderful idea if wisdom was a part of it. If truth was a part of it. If there was no concern with the material that is a part of it. But with all intellectual, then man will understand. Spirit food is intellectual food. And so the pillars of the mind have crumbled in the minds of those who do not seek after the Most High to form their intellect according to his, for they are meant to be an image of that intellect. And so they don't put in the inner work. We were all born bare with simply a free will and love desire. And from this we formed and cooked all types of things, not knowing how to use the very bare faculties of the atoms of our souls, which is the free will and the love, and forming constellations out of these things, the truth, if you will, truth and the free will. Truth and the free will. How about that? The truth itself, that's in the very atoms of our soul. And man himself directs these truths, these things that the soul, the spirit is in it of itself. This workshop in which the mind uses. We take these faculties and misuse them in life because we do not form these faculties after the will of the Most High. And so our faculties are wanting in love and in wisdom and in understanding. We're wanting in these things, right? And so anything done with a degree of want in it without the assistance of the Most High is an error and could do very, very hurtful and harmful things when done. And so what man does outwardly becomes a fact that's sealed up against him and used for the day of judgment against him or for him. And so all of the things that are fact, that in fact you have done, that you somehow done a thing, a deed, a evil deed in manifestation, that you feel a good sensation from, this will no longer be the case. You all won't get the good sensations y'all need. And the thing is, you have no idea that while you feeling that good sensation, that very good sensation, it will turn into you very sour. I'm going to tell you like this. You are going to remember how good it used to feel and realize that goodness that you used to feel deceived you. You're going to realize that that feeling that you once felt from this good thing that you used to have never did you right. Never did good for you. Never did good by you. By your intellect. You understand what I'm saying? It deceived you into thinking that this was good for your intellect. But soon there will be no sustenance in that way anymore. From everything we do. Everything that we manifest. Yea, that very feeling, when you find out just how far it has kept you, because this is all things that are going to, this is how the true nature of everything is going to be manifested, that it turned you away from the Father of all spirits. That's when it's going to manifest to you, because he is the one that picks and chooses what is good and what is not good. His intellect is perfect. And so the things we consider to be at the truest of good, that it's really truly good, there was one who thought of it and put it there for us to perceive that it is good, so that we may do the like. You will find out that he is just as free in his willing as we are. And in his free will, this is all. Life is what was formed. Health is what was formed. Wisdom is what was formed from his freely doing. His freely perceiving. These are the things that were formed. Do you understand what I'm saying? That we feed off of. And so his intellect is perfect and wanting in nothing. And when you find out that you cut off from that perfection, that your intellect is a wanting, yeah, your deeds are going to be accompanied with very, very vile feelings, because you will see the good on the right while you stand with the bad that's on the left, if you will. And you will be able to look over and see what they've gotten. You will see the rewards that people have received. All of this will destroy the thinking of carnal man. All of this will destroy your intellect, your thoughts of what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong. All of this will be destroyed when you see the righteous man judging on his throne, giving everyone according to what they deserve. And you will understand why they deserve it, how they deserve it. You will know for a fact that they deserve it. You will see the whole image of their life played before you, so that you understand where you erred. You will know where you erred. You will see all your life played before you like a broken record over and over again, telling you everything that you made a mistake on. Showing you how you fell so short and why you perfectly are where you are right now. This is the inner torment of the soul that will destroy you all. Greater than any external damnation or destruction that could ever happen to you. I promise you that in hell, the destructions and destroyings of the flesh that we are so fearful of in hell, there is no greater destruction in hell than that of the soul, that of the spirit. In hell, I promise you, this external destruction is nothing compared to the thought that says you deserve it while you going through it. The thought that says should have been you while you going through it. Y'all do not understand the magnitude that intellect you are going to have in hell will hurt you more than the intellect that is ignorant now. Y'all gonna know why y'all deserve everything you're going through. Y'all do not understand. Intellectual beings do intellectually. They must operate intellectually. They feed off of the wisdom of the Most High in order for their intellect to be formed according to his members, his angels. You understand? The word angel means messenger. Messenger is the one that does the work. You understand what I'm saying? That delivers the manifest. You understand what I'm saying? And so there is a working intelligence, an active intelligence in God. And man must become the similitude of that active intelligence, doing the like manner of that intelligence, that his intelligence may be formed alike. You see, the Most High is the only one that people can look at and try to be like and become a multitude of things. An infinite number of different things, unique in their own way. You see, man who follows and esteems the intellect of another man will become the exact intellect and copy of that man. You understand? And if a multitude of people do according to what that man does, they themselves will become the like, if they truly, if you will, followed. But the Father is so unsearchable. You see, because this man could be fully sought out. But the Father, he's so unsearchable that he is well enough to feed all eternity, infinitely, every man uniquely. Because that's just who he is. But y'all don't want this food. Y'all intellect is deteriorating, and that deterioration is called ignorance. And man, while y'all think y'all very, very smart and y'all got an intellect, to the Most High, what do you look like? To the Father, what do you truly look like intellectually? Are you picking and choosing correctly? Is not sin just the simple fact that you're doing things, you're manifesting things, sinful deeds that are deteriorating in a hindrance to intellectual life, intellectual living? You see, spiritual life and intellectual life is both one and the same. You see, intelligence must permeate and manifest through every single member. You understand what I'm saying? There must be, just like a computer, if you will, there must be the intelligence, the programming that flows through every single member, so that when you press the letter A on the keyboard, it is in fact the letter A of a truth. And so man must do the same thing within himself. He must, out of his own understanding of what that truth of manifesting a true thing is, he must take that understanding he puts into everything he forms and form it within himself first, so that he intellectually do in order to earn merit. You see, we look to see praise from one another over and over again. We like our likes, we like our social media, we like our Instagram, one towards another, and we like all of these people following us and stroking our ego, right? The pleasures of our ego. Stroking that thing, making us feel all type of good, telling us we're beautiful and handsome and whatever you want, playing with us, and we having a good old carnal time. We like that. We enjoy that. But that is killing you intellectually. You understand what I'm saying? That is killing you intellectually. You are dying as intellectual beings. Y'all create artificial intelligence, yet your intelligence is lower than the intelligence you create yourself. And so with everything that y'all do, you feed your intellect, right? Because the lie that manifests from it, or the devastation or the truth even that manifests from it, we all disregard it and we say, it's nothing. It's not the Most High. This is just something that randomly happened. Only when that intellect learns to attribute everything that happens to the highest intellect that could have calculated that very thing that was going to happen already. You see, we already know that the Father knows there is nothing he is ignorant of. He knows what's going to happen to you, right? What has happened to you. He knows these things, right? And so that intelligence is the intelligence that made it so. And so if the Father is perfect intelligence, you don't think that he feels everything that goes on throughout his intelligence? As we do when things touch every single part of our body? Like, you don't think like this, that the Father is able to feel everything that intellectually goes on within his life stream intellect? We are intellectual atoms of the great intellect that is the Most High, perfect in every facet, true in every way. We are atoms of that intellect, born with will, free will, if you will, and love and wisdom, born with the sinews of the attributes of God. Yet our sinews, the blood that must flow through the veins of understanding, is not flowing in a lot of y'all. The blood that must flow through wisdom and truth and love, they're rewired, they're not flowing in the right manner, even if at all. And so man does not understand this, and he loses sight of that. And so the strength of his members within him has waned and become weak, misused, and they're overactive, underactive, if you will. Anything beyond the Most High is overactive. Anything below the Most High is overactive. But everything right on point with him is active, simply active, the way that it ought to be. Because the way that things ought to be is the only thing that truly is. Whatever we have right now is only a deception, lying to us about the things that we ought to receive from the things that we do. But yet the original intellect takes account of it. And in his mind, he intends to reward all things according to their like. So that there may be clear distinction, because an intellectual mind makes right and clear distinctions. And so we ought to make distinctions within ourselves. And you don't think that the Father himself makes distinctions between what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad? And his distinctions separate things actually. He actually does the true work of what distinction ought to do within you. When he begins to do a work, it's a true work that's going to be done. In the measure it ought to be done, so as to not mar the very symmetry of his creation. Perfectly calculated, down to the T. This is man. We are intellectual being, and spirit is the source, the food source of intellect. You understand what I'm saying? His attributes are the food source of our intellect, so that we may become smarter and wiser and more understanding and more in love. Our intellect must be there. We must understand it first in order for us to fully function in that way. And when we begin to flow these things in the earth, we will through our works make sure that wisdom is over there. Because we will do a thing so strategically, so wisely, that the waters continue to flow and feed the garden. You understand? The planting. We will do these things because we're intellectual beings, and we do work. We're meant to do work not for our selfish carnal life and create all the vast intellects that we've done. We're meant to do work just like the work, a similitude of the false work in the intelligence and the technology taking over everywhere. We're meant to perform majesty types works in nature and in creation that keeps the whole going and flowing. and greater as far as our intellect takes us. Because while we at this point have done a good deed that sustains life, man can no longer cook up deeds that will sustain the troubles we're getting ready to face. Because this whole world is evolving, it's growing. We people are intellectual beings. And we need the Father to feed off of his perfect intellect in order to be some type of an intellect, right and true in his presence, in the presence of the great intellect that is the Most High. We need to be right in his presence, intellectually. We need to be right intellectually in his presence. He must look down and perceive, like he did Abraham, that this is a right thinking being in that is formed. He must look down on Moses and see that this is a right thinking being who's perceiving right. And so the Spirit, the first instruction that's given to the Spirit is, behold, what seest thou? That's the beginning of his work. The first instruction of his work is behold. So that he may begin to get to work, right? Perceive and contemplate all the actions and the things that are happening around him. So that he may learn and understand all of these troubles that he faces. And why life is such that it is. And begin to concoct methods in which to make these things right. Only in doing so, finding his Father. I will tell you like this. Intellect must feed. If intellect has no wherewith to feed, it will remain a docile and immobile or inadequate creature. He must feed his intellect. He must feed his intellect so that he may be a higher thinker. For each and every nation, even the United States, especially the United States, really, thinks its intellect is so high that it's willing to give all of its systems to the world. And so everything is a democracy and a republic now, or a democracy now, if you will. Everything is a democracy now. Because America thinks that its intellect is best and it shines on the top of a hill so everyone sees with their intellect what they have achieved. And every nation sees with its intellect what it has achieved. But none fathom the intellect that the elect, the intellectual themselves, will achieve or see that they ought to achieve and can achieve with the intellect that stems from the Most High himself. Because everyone is looking to achieve according to their own intellect, and none is looking to achieve to the intellect that is the Most High. And so man must give the Most High glory because his intellect is the greatest intellect that there. Man must be grateful for his intellect, his thinking towards them, his joy towards them, his love towards them. They must be grateful for his actions towards them. And so they must, in gratefulness, knowing that they can do no action good enough to appease the amount of glory afforded to him that the Father has earned. You see, the Father earns merit in us by being faithful to us, but none can pay the merit he earns because his merit is so great in every man. And so the intelligence of man understands that intellectually he can never merit or reward the merit, the deed, because it's an intellectual process to reward according to that which you have earned, rightfully in measure, because of the intellect of justice and righteousness and equity and truth. Because these are also intellectual processes. In order for the intellect to manifest, it must operate in every single facet that is an attribute of the Most High. And so none can afford the right merit that the Father deserves. But in effort alone can a man do love one towards another, because where he may not be able to afford effort or enough effort to the whole of what the Most High is, He can afford enough method or enough effort towards a fragment of what he is, which is in you. You understand what I'm saying? You all are the fragments of my Father. In order to give back to him, I myself must do a deed towards you that increases your intellect alone. That's why I do and leave undone, right? In order to afford a right understanding to the intellect, even though it may hurt it may hurt, if you will, to the intellect. The intellect will look back and be grateful for the hurt, because intellect receives intellects from tough love. Yes, it does. Man receives understanding from tough love, and so now is the hour for man to receive his understanding from tough love. And so we all must form our intellects aright. And we've been neglecting our intellects. By neglecting our intellects, I mean not knowing and absent of the knowledge and understanding of the Father. As long as we don't see the high intellect, we can never be an evolving intellect within ourselves. But by his work, by the work of that intellect that he does on miraculous levels, so that every intellect must learn that you must do the like and care for intellects, care for minds everywhere, rather than for flesh everywhere. And so every man is concerned with the mind of his brother, his sister, and things of that nature. And he can afford a deed that feeds this mind an understanding of what this deed ought to look and be like. Yes, this is man. True in every way. Understanding that he is an intellectual. And then so the creatures, the animals, when they see intellectual beings doing things that marvel them, oh, this intellectual being, without me speaking a word to them, understood that I was in need of this food and it fed me. Okay. These intellectual beings are not all bad. And animals will begin to perceive that man is feeding their measure of understanding through example. And so animals see the example. Man himself begins to see the example of right thinking, right processing. You see, everything dealing with intellect is spiritual. And that's the thing we don't realize, because science has made everything dealing with intellectuals material. And so everything dealing with the intellect is on a material basis. And so man can never perceive that his work is to increase the pillars of understanding and wisdom and truth and knowledge and peace all over the world. You see, man neglects these things and continues to live his material life, while neglecting the work he ought to afford to the kingdom of heaven, because he ought to be grateful for the life that was given to him. And so man's work is always pleasing the Most High, which he can never be filled, if you will, or glorifying the Most High, which any glory is never enough. We need to glorify that intellect by manifesting what that intellect thinks, what that intellect wants to see manifested. And your overcoming sin is a part of what that intellect wants you to do, so that you may begin to perceive and awaken the powers and the factions of your soul and begin to grow these things. And so in order to do that, that spirit must understand why it ought to be humble, because it must know that it is not the perfect intellect, but yet a similitude of that intellect, and wanting of that perfect intellect. It must humble itself and realize that my truth is not the all encompassing and pervasive truth. My wisdom is not the all encompassing, infinite and pervasive wisdom. You understand what I'm saying? It is a similitude of that wisdom, because I cannot grasp it all. All of it will it doused on me in one single setting beyond that which I have merited will harm me. And so I must merit the wisdom of the Most High and grow in his intellect and his understanding, so that all men must know and perceive and understand that there is an intellectual work that must be done. And spirit life understands that. They begin to work on spiritual matters. And so a thing done globally can only and ever be a thing done in every individual man of their own doing, of their own accord. This is the only way to do a thing truly globally, because man is the one member of the Most High that needs to be moving the way that it ought to be moving, so that creation can be complete in its appearance. But man is not moving, so man gets a partial creation of the manifestation he should be actually experiencing, because he is the faculty that is missing. The stone, the cornerstone of all of creation that is missing, that generates the wisdom, the love, the attributes of the Most High, so that the virtues can have power in man, in all of creation, to do the will of the Most High. Come on, bro. But yet the virtues have only power in the things that are around, and they cannot manifest their power in full in the things that are not man. They can only manifest their things in part. And so that's when you get the elements and stuff like that, the things that form in the material that man sees in all of creation, that he uses for healing, so that he may realize that he is the actual wellspring of that healing that he seeks and remembers. Intelligence, not artificial, but divine intelligence, is what man truly is, if only he seeks the divine himself. Ye are men, but you're dying like, or ye are gods, but you're dying like mere men. How about that? Ye are intellectuals. And so, was man never smart, never meant to understand his eternal life? Was man never meant to sustain his own eternal life? In this sustaining of his own eternal life is the Father's activity working through him alone? Was man not to ever understand that his movement is a member moving in God, in himself? Was man not to ever understand that his working in the earth? You see, we separate ourselves from nature and we say, let it be, right? Not knowing that we are meant to be a faculty, a part of that nature that is missing in all of the earth. Because man is not doing his work in nature. Nature seems as something that's separate and apart from him. And so now man must seek that intelligence to understand that the intelligence that he works, you see, the man himself is the white blood cells of the body of God that marches forth to see any errors so that he may form correction therewith. And so is man not to be the very hand of God that goes forth and scratches the back where he itches? Come on, bruh. Y'all missing out on what y'all meant to be in the presence of the Most High. Y'all get sucked up on pleasures and lusts and carnal understandings and flesh and things like that, and you never get into the care for your own intellect and soul. You see, anything you focus on in the flesh will keep you bound to that focus. And you will never understand to focus on the Most High himself, which opens up the doors for every focus that you need to pay attention to. You see, when you hone in on one thing, you can never hone in on the other. And you think that the one thing that you perceive is all of life. Truth is not all of life. You understand? Wisdom is not all of life, if you will. All of the faculties come together to make the whole of what life is. They must. They have to. Though there are those that are tiered or higher in the ark than others, you will find out the truth and the understanding of the real and all-pervasive fact that the Most High is intelligence, and we are the will in that intelligence that directs the very intelligence itself to every single part it's meant to be, so that man may see with his own eyes the manifestation of the perfect work of that intelligence that he honors and he serves and he obeys. And so man can't see God in this world. You understand what I'm saying? He only sees evil. And so what every man does that evil, he attributes that doing to evil and to the devil and to everything but himself. But then when man becomes the faculty of the hand of God, you understand what I'm saying? Every working that he does, picture everybody out doing good. And so when man does good and everything is good and everyone is doing peacefully and working on love, shall man not say then that this is God? He sees his God clearly now, because every man is working through every man, in every man, about every man, for every man, doing to every man. Love and good and righteousness and wisdom and truth. So y'all can't see God, because y'all can't imagine that man could possibly get there. You continue to say that you're not perfect, but then you lean on this saying. Y'all say you're not perfect, and then you accept and lean on the fact thereof of what imperfection entails. The word imperfection entails of what does it mean to be an imperfect man, right? And you say, if we're not perfect, we can settle on not being perfect and live our lives the way that we want to be, because we are not meant to be perfect. And someone is going to swoop in and then all of a sudden make us perfect in every faction of our being, when we were meant to be the writers thereof, the formers thereof, the architects thereof of our own intellectual minds, so that we can have the gratification that comes from having done it yourself. And in that, the true strength that comes, and the courage that comes, and the love that comes from having done according to the will of the Most High. It is true that if a man does a pattern of righteousness, that he will look back and say that I am that pattern. And from this he will understand and know that he himself is appearing to himself to be a particular thing that he images after looking at the Father and knowing that the Father says be this, so that when you look at this, you will find out that you are that. When you look back on your past of having obeyed my commandments, you will find out that the thing I command you to be is what you are. The one who intellectually chooses to not do this because it is hurtful and harmful, because it's not conducive to life, eternity. Man will intellectually make these things and understand. If you get this mind in your air, where you see the truth of intellectually and truly doing a thing that is right for you, because understand, truth is in a sense not with that which is without deserving, because truth flows through the cause all the way to the effect. You understand what I'm saying? So that the effect itself can manifest what was the cause. The error or the righteousness or the good of the cause. And so we call that karma. But y'all don't understand that it is in fact judgment. It is in fact the all-pervasive and true and perfect and extreme righteousness of the Most High. Y'all don't want to get what you rightly deserve, but you are due what you rightly deserve. You understand what I'm saying? That's the thing. You are due what you rightly deserve. And this world is lying to you about what you rightly deserve. But we coming out of that now. Everybody's starting to get what they rightly deserve. And that measure, that flood that has been held back for a long time of man receiving exactly according to what he deserves, You see, this was not meant to linger. This was meant to happen instantaneously when man works. What he deserves, the Father doesn't hold off your paycheck every 2 weeks. You know, like these businesses do. No, even in the scriptures, a man is meant to be paid when sun goes down. And so all of the effort of spirit life is paid that day, in that moment. You understand what I'm saying? Because the Father, he is not wanting that he has to offset your pay like other companies do. He's not strategically planning how to save his money like other people have to do, because he has plenty of all things that he rewards man with in spirit life. You understand what I'm saying? And he will pay the wages that man deserves. He will pay every man according to their wages, because he believes and knows that his system is right and true. So he does it to every man according to that system that is right and true of sowing and reaping. And so it'll never be the case anymore that y'all can lie to yourselves about the pleasures, the desires, the good feeling that you receive after having done an evil deed. Y'all won't be able to feel that feeling anymore that lies to you about the nature of the things you have done. In fact, if you do them when the floods are released, then you deserve the whole measure of the flood, because you are a part of that measure that is being released. You are part of that measure that is being released, and in no way a part, just like I'm a part of the Most High, in no way am I wanting of the glories in the virtues, in the blessings of the Most High. But I get those blessings according to that my spirit is able. And so each and every one of y'all will receive according to the measure of the strength that you have cooked up within your sins. The measure out of that flood of judgment, the measure that you receive to do to yourself, because you will be so smart about what you deserve that you will inflict what you deserve on yourself, because it's the right thing to do. That's the saying. You don't want the right thing to do to be an evil against you. You don't want that. You understand what I'm saying? Because you will hang yourself. You will seek to destroy and kill yourself. But the Father promises that you won't find death in this, because your measure isn't met yet. You die when the measure is met. Your measure isn't met yet. And so you got to keep inflicting yourself, so that you understand what you should have done in your spirit with no affliction at all, or by way of the afflictions of this world, the issues of life. You should have used every issue to cook up within yourself the form and the image and the type of the living God, so that you can function right intellectually, because you are meant to be intellectual. And so this is spirit life. Y'all don't understand the vastness of what I'm explaining to you, do you? But you will see, when you become all very, very smart and no longer ignorant, you all will know that it is smart that you be destroyed. And so you will destroy your own self. You will look to your teachers and know that it is smart that you should not have followed this teacher. It was dumb for you to follow this person and not seek out the living God yourself and within yourself. You will find out that it was smart. It is smart that you receive a like reward unto this teacher that you chose to follow, because you neglected the holy and most beautiful one, which is the Most High. You will receive it, and you will be the one to inflict and cause and generate and ebb and flow with it yourself. So in that, y'all better get ready for this mind that we're getting ready to evolve into, because this is it. Peace and blessings.